Welcome back, everyone. This is Brian with Faith on Fire. Now, this video is going to be quite different than all the other videos I do, but I'm very interested in this topic and sharing my thoughts with you about Indiana Jones 5, the Dial of Dementia. Dial of Destiny. Sorry about that. All right, so this movie is not going to be one I'm going to want to go see.
Hitler made mistakes, and with this, I will correct them all.
You stole it.
Then you stole it.
And then I stole it. It's called capitalism.
Now, that clip you just saw there is highly insulting to anyone who's ever worked hard to make a living in this capitalist society we live. Capitalism is the best economic system in the world. Everything else fails in comparison. It's the only one that spurs on innovation, inventions, hard work, and people who are willing to risk so much to offer products and services that other people want to buy. Now, as the owner of a small business that's had to build that and had a career leading up to the point where I would go out on my own and create my own business, this is insulting to me beyond. And so why in the world does Disney now want to insult the very people that are willing to give their hard-earned money to go see the movie? Because they've just painted a picture of capitalism as if it's one person stealing from another. So I know it might be subtle for some, but to me, that clip really I found highly insulting. And so since the studio actually is exercising capitalism by putting all this money into this already successful thing, seems like a fair, easy bet, right? To put the money into it, make this movie, and get a lot of people to come, and they're going to make a lot of money. But everyone's coming and voluntarily giving their money to buy a ticket and watch the movie. And they consider that stealing from me? Why would I want to go let them steal from me if that's the way they see it? And that's the ideology about capitalism they want to promote. Okay, so that's number one. I don't want to be stolen from, so I'm not going to go see the movie and give them my hard-earned money. I have a choice. They don't have to take my money, and I don't have to give it to them. No thanks, I'm out. But there's more. There's the whole feminist woke ideology.
I'm retiring.
Well, in that case, what are we drinking?
Same for the goddaughter.
Don't move.
We need to get out of here. Stop! Sorry.
And so Disney has figured out a way to get the moviegoer who is going to suspend their disbelief, whether it be watching Star Wars or some fantasy movie or just an adventure movie where an 80-year-old man is jumping from car to car or swinging down on things or riding a horse through a tunnel or something like this. This is unbelievable stuff to begin with, right? Ships flying in space shooting lasers at each other, not believable stuff. We go and willingly suspend our disbelief to immerse ourselves in the story if it'll capture our attention and be a good story. And oftentimes in the past, with characters like Indiana Jones, with Star Wars characters, they were able to do that. And then you add the wonderful music of John Williams, who composes these great scores that really captures the emotion of the moment. I mean, there's never been a composer like John Williams, and there probably never will be again. I mean, Jaws, E.T., Superman, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and many others I can't think of right now. I mean, he's brilliant. And that alone moves the movie forward and so forth. But if all this works together to enable us to suspend our disbelief, but then you cut into that with political, woke, feminist, ridiculous ideology, it absolutely rips you right out. It's like someone who's having a good dream and someone comes over and shakes them. And they wake up and they're like, oh, I was right in the middle of this great dream. And now they're back to reality again and annoyed. You woke me up, right? That's what political woke feminism ideology inserted, or LGBTQ ideology inserted into the middle of a movie you want to see. That's what it is. It's like being woken up from a good dream, ruining it, right? And so Disney has got a formula now, it seems, to consistently do that with every new movie it makes for like the last decade. And so they did it with Star Wars. Now, I'm wearing this shirt now, all right? Jabba's Palace. This is an exclusive shirt from a Star Wars convention I was at years ago. Actually, not that long ago now. I think it was 2017, right here in Orlando, where I live. Went over to the Orange County Convention Center for the big Star Wars celebration, is what they call it, right? It's basically a Star Wars convention. Yeah, it's great for nerds, right? And you see all these people dressed like stormtroopers or Luke Skywalker or other characters, Boba Fett and all the like. And it is phenomenal. It's fantastic. And they'll have a celebrity come out and talk about this and that off this main stage, and they get a big crowd around and big props from the movies and TIE fighters and all. It is awesome. And then they shoot out of this cannon these exclusive shirts And if you're lucky enough to get one of them, and I did, you get the shirt, right? It's awesome, right? So that's where this shirt comes from. I've always been a Star Wars fan because I grew up with it. But Disney, when they bought it, they absolutely ruined the character of Luke Skywalker. I mean, I won't go into all the details. I'll make it quick. I want to talk more about Indiana Jones in a second. But no, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. Perfect timing to be a young boy watching Star Wars. Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. Beautiful story arc. The growth and the challenges, the failures, and the comeback of Luke Skywalker from beginning to end throughout that. I mean, I was like 4 years old when Star Wars came out, 7 years old when Empire Strikes came back, 10 years old when Return of the Jedi came out. And you see throughout it, it is clearly good versus evil. And of course, good wins in the end. And you hear this concept about the dark side and the good side. That got changed by George Lucas later in the 90s, and then by Disney following up on it, even making it worse. But the fact is, it was Luke Skywalker talking about Darth Vader, his father, and that he knows there's still good in him. And he can bring him back to the good side. He says the Emperor, the real evil character controlling him, hasn't driven it from him fully. He can bring him back to the good side. And no one believes that this character, Darth Vader, is redeemable, but his son, Luke Skywalker. And it's a beautiful story. And it's also one of like David and Goliath, where Luke Skywalker is small and the Empire is massive and huge. And Darth Vader and the Emperor are way more powerful than him, and yet he faces them, willing to die if he can save his father. The whole thing is beautiful. And he's a massive hero. I grew up with that hero. Where other kids may have liked Superman or Batman as a hero, my hero growing up was Luke Skywalker. Right? I'll never forget that. That's always going to be with me. And then to see what Disney did with these last three movies, where they completely turned him into this hermit who lives on an island, doesn't want to have anything to do with the world. He doesn't care what evil's in the world. No longer, and then, of course, it's no longer the dark side versus the good side. It's the dark side and the light side. And there needs to be balance in the Force. What? That's not what it was about. It was good versus evil. So they've distorted that view. And, of course, they introduced this character called Rey. And Rey is like this character in the Indiana Jones 5 movie, from what the reviews say. That she is inserted for one purpose. Like Rey was the confident young, she's got all the powers, where she got them from, how she learned them, no one knows, but she's just confident and able to overcome all the evil and all the badness, whatever. And Luke Skywalker is made to be this pathetic, weak man, hiding on the island. And in Indiana Jones 5, apparently what the reviews are saying is that Indiana Jones himself gets into a lot of trouble, and he's not able to do things right, and he's always being corrected by this arrogant young character, this woman who's taking his place and saving the day for him. And the idea from what the reviews say is that Lucasfilm and Disney are hoping that people will like this young woman character enough that she will be able to do future movies and TV shows maybe. And the Indiana Jones stories will continue with her being the main character. Well, that's what they hoped with Star Wars. It's the same formula. They hoped to do it with Rey. It didn't work. People hated it. All right, now let me finalize this with explaining why it's a bit heartbreaking for me. Now, some of you are like, I don't want to see anything from Hollywood. I'm not interested in any of it. I want to read the Bible, and I want to go to church, and I'm just totally saying goodbye to the world in every single respect and so forth. And that's, if that's you, great. But, don't be too holier than thou and look down on other people who actually still look for wholesome, fun things to go do with the family that may be in the secular world, such as going to see a movie or going to a theme park or so forth. And in this case, look, I grew up with Star Wars. I can remember vividly my dad taking me to see the Star Wars movies, taking me to see Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first one. Now, first of all, you got to understand, my dad, who's gone to be with the Lord, right? So all I have is those memories. And I can remember how he read really thick books on World War II. He was a history buff. One of his favorite topics in history was World War II. He was also a U.S. Marine. And so he loved reading about the battles and the generals and the decisions. And I mean, he wrote things, read books that would have bored me to tears, but he loved that topic of World War II. And so when the movie came out with Indiana Jones, Raiders of the Lost Ark, although I was quite young at the time, looking back, no wonder my dad was excited about going to see that movie and bringing me along. It was about the good guy taking on the Nazis. I mean, when it comes down to it, right? And then coupling it with the Ark of the Covenant and It was super awesome adventure movie. One of the best movies ever made, frankly, for adventure, high adventures they call it. And this created character, Indiana Jones, that George Lucas came up with in his head, as just like Star Wars, just goes to show you how incredibly creative that man is. But like anything, over the years, the movies come out, they try to top what was done before, and Indiana Jones sadly got even a little more grotesque. The first one was pretty bad. If you remember some of the scenes, like the guy's face is melting off and stuff like that. I mean, it was, I remember having a conversation with my dad on the way home, like, why did you take me to this movie? It was very disturbing. But looking back, it's a good memory though. But the fact is, it just got worse and worse. But you still kind of love the character Indiana Jones. But at this point, I'm just like, no thanks. No, I'm over that. And you ruined Star Wars, Disney. Now you're ruining Indiana Jones. It appears to be the case. And you've ruined every other movie that was a classic Disney, or some movie that they may have ownership of now because they buy these intellectual properties, like they bought Lucasfilm, they bought Marvel, and they bought the Muppets and so forth. What did they do with the Muppets, right? The Muppets, I grew up watching the Muppets on TV. It was wholesome fun. It was great stuff. And yet they've inserted some LGBTQ stuff into actually newer Muppet content that I've never seen myself, but I've seen the articles about it. So they just, like I said, all they're doing to their audience of loyal fans is destroying that. Like we go and suspend our disbelief. It's like we're in a good dream, and Disney comes along and just rattles you and wakes you up. Get up, and you go and you're all upset. Why'd you wake me up? It's just unbelievable unfaithfulness to the original characters and the intent of the movies that they're destroying, from Toy Story, when they came out with that nonsense liberal woke Lightyear movie. Buzz Lightyear was a lovable character from Toy Story, and they ruined him with that last movie. We never went and saw it, but I heard the reports on it, and that was why I didn't see it. All right? And so it was a box office failure. They've coming out with, every single movie Disney comes out with lately pretty much seems to be a failure, with rare exception. And I don't know when Hollywood and Disney are going to learn their lesson and actually start to produce stuff that people actually want, that doesn't rudely awaken them from their suspension of disbelief into insulting them rudely and in getting them out of their experience, really going to the movie. Anyways, that's all I got to say today. And although this was a very different video and topic from my normal talking about the Bible and different theologies and things, and the things that I talk about in this channel, in this instance, I'm still going to sign off the same way. How about that, right? So, I'm praying for you all, and I love you all. Thanks for watching. God bless you all, and may the peace and love of Jesus Christ be with you now and forever. Amen. Bye-bye.